Alrighty, all done for the night. Time for review. Wait, what's this? That's not Canterlot. What's this? What's this? There's doors everywhere. Hello? Anyone here? Do you know what this is?
Hey, another new friend! Funny how they keep wandering through my door.
I suppose. What is that place?
Ah, that place is called the Rift. All those doors lead to different reviewers.
That's a bad name for it. Should be called the Nexus. Or heck, even the Hallway would be more apropos.
Or Apro Amateur. Hey, I did name it.
Okay, so I guess I should just... Hey, wait a second. Are you one of those, stage 2 changelings?
I don't know if that's an official name or anything, but yes.
Fascinating. These wings seem more insectile than avian. I've heard they have to beat very fast. Is that true?
Well,
And this horn, is it more like a unicorn horn or more like an antenna? Are there nerves in it? Do you feel anything when I do this?
Hey, personal space.
Sorry, but it's so fascinating. What did you used to look like?
Like this.
I know I keep saying this, but fascinating. I've never seen any sort of changeling up close before. Well, that I know of. What if...
Sorry to interrupt, but I was about to review Legends of Everfree. Since you're here, would you like to help?
Yes, I was about to do so myself. I would love a chance for a more thorough examination, but perhaps another time.
Maybe. Let's just get to it.
Wait, that's not the beginning.
Oh yeah, I guess this bit was there.
Twilight, wake up!
Hope that wasn't too scary for you.
Hardly. That opening was such a fake-out. Unless, of course, part of it is what actually had happened before?
Yeah, maybe it was a bit of a cheat, but it was still some nice foreshadowing.
Yeah, maybe if they had done more with it. It kind of felt to me throughout like the Midnight Sparkle plot could have been handled better.
Alright, now the song.
Be lost by time or be a part of history. Will your story be told or remain a mystery? Will they sing your song, telling all that you have done? Time to make your choice, only you can be the one. I like that song, very campy. By which I mean of or relating to a camp, not cheesy.
Did someone say cheese?
Right.
Yeah, specifically squirrels. More specifically, so I can chase them.
You know, I half expected Spike to make a joke about marking trees there.
That might be a little bit too lowbrow for the show.
That's me, and you're you, and we don't know each other very well. Cool story, bro.
Cool story, bro.
Quite. You know, maybe it would help if you thought of them as identical twins.
Maybe. Changelings don't get too hung up on appearances.
The sundial was our year's gift.
Even though some people thought it was a little impractical since a sundial can't be used at night.
So, I guess Celestia and Luna are twins in this world? I always got the impression their pony counterparts were years apart.
I guess that depends on whether other grades are there at the same time. They'd probably be cute as twins growing up, though.
And Salty Luna. I think we get more personality in this movie than Pony Luna got in Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep.
Maybe, but this Luna does have the advantage of having not gone crazy and being banished to the moon for 1,000 years.
As far as we know.
Dun, dun, dun.
I got amethyst.
And Pearl.
And Steven!
Yeah, but they're mostly blue. That's why they're named after the Latin word spherus.
Okay, now here I have to object. I took Latin and I didn't remember this being the word for blue. I looked it up and sure enough, not only is Zephyrus not Latin for blue, but Latin doesn't even really have a word that means blue.
So what color do they say the sky is?
Caeruleus. It's the closest word to blue, but literally would be color of the sky. It's the root of the word cerulean.
Ooh, so like this?
Right. Zephyrus is a specific name for a blue gemstone. It probably wasn't what we call sapphires, but what we call lapis lazuli.
Boop.
Anyway, Zephyrus is derived from the Greek word for the same, and, well, let's not get even more off track.
Sorry. So I guess Timber and Spruce got it wrong and Twilight really did have too many hearts in her eyes. See, there is a sense of humor in there somewhere.
Indeed.
But did you know that sapphires are just rubies without chromium?
Ruby tint is great. It's like a sapphire, but with chromium.
Also, the latter statement is more correct. Rubies are sapphires with chromium impurities. The sapphire is the base stone.
Neat. Now we get to see something really adorable.
But did you know that sapphire tent is the best one?
No? Why's that?
Because you're in it.
Oh, I bet you say that to all the campers.
Almost nauseatingly so. Still, the writers didn't do a bad job on this. Young people flirting is almost invariably awkward. Probably usually even more so than here, but they did a better job than a lot of places.
They seem to have romance in Equestria girls a lot. I suppose they feel it fits better here than in the Ponyverse.
Though there was that excellent Rarity episode. Changing the topic slightly, how old is Spruce exactly?
I get the impression that he's younger than his sister, so maybe he's around 18 or 19 and somewhere like a senior?
I guess that makes sense. I seem to recall Pound Cake doing something similar in the series.
Who hasn't tried that? I will move this block with my mind!
Dun, dun. Okay, this seems like a good time to point out that those are some pretty fancy tents. Looks like they're pretty far from Applejack's ideal of roughing it.
Don't act like that!
What did you say? I didn't say anything.
You know, the first time I saw this, I completely missed that this was a magic thing and a sign of her powers.
It was pretty subtle, though I thought maybe she was just losing her mind or something.
Yeah, but I'm usually pretty good about spotting these things.
It's going to be a lot of work, but we can do it.
Adult supervision!
That's cool. I made mine.
I think that should be a new catchphrase. Yes, adult supervision!
Quite. I'd like to point out that the tape on the homemade hammer is probably not itself homemade.
Oh, that it is. Gaia Everfree!
Hey, guys!
Hey, Gloriosa! Do you have extra toothbrushes?
I'm scared of the dark. Do you have flashlights?
We didn't have time to show it, but it was a good campfire story. I'm just glad that they stayed away from Timber's story actually being real. It would have been way too obvious and anticlimactic.
And I like that she basically used the old do as I say, not as I do routine, or as TV Trope puts it, don't do this cool thing.
Snips and snails are also adorable.
What happened?
Sunset springs into action. I gotta hand it to her. She seems to be pretty used to her hands.
Yeah.
But now the darkness rises from somewhere deep inside of me.
You know, I never really liked the dark is evil trope. I mean, look at Luna. And my response to Twilight might be, try staring into the sun for about 5 seconds, and you'll wish it was darker.
Besides that, midnight can be really pretty too. I bet Spruce would think so.
Indeed.
In the interest of saving time, let's just play this next part in the background.
So, most of them have powers related to those of their pony counterparts. AJ and Fluttershy pretty much have the exact same powers as their pony counterparts. Rainbow Dash's and Twilight's powers are pretty close to their counterparts, while Rarity's and Pinky's are only vaguely related and seem somewhat combat specialized.
And then we get Sunset's power. She is her pony counterpart, so this one's totally new for her. This would make her the element of empathy, I guess?
I suppose so. Her power is the least useful in combat, but incredibly useful in pretty much any other situation.
Like later when she instantly sees what Gloriosa is up to.
Exactly.
Applejack, I was looking for you. Here, I brought you some towels and dry clothes.
Yeah, the only article of clothing she seemed to get there was a hat. I guess that's clothes?
Right, but those benches, not clothes.
Nice meta reference.
Sunset said something at camp is causing the other girls to get new magic. I think it's Midnight Sparkle. The last time I tried to use it, it turned me into a monster.
So what we have here is a classic confirmation bias. Twilight has already decided that this stuff is because of her, and thus she interprets everything in that light.
And plus there are good monsters, like Grover. There's a good monster. Or Orthros, technically a monster.
Legit, huh? I think we just found our Gaia Everfree.
And here we have another confirmation bias.
Also, Sunset has clearly been watching Scooby-Doo reruns. We see into Pinkie Pie's mind. Oh, isn't it just perfect?
In a disturbing sort of way.
What if it turns out that they could actually make things better?
And you let it ignite in just 5 seconds flat. Out from the magic that can help protect from any threat.
Now Now see, the first thing I thought here was that for training Rarity's power, obviously we have to train her by throwing rocks at her. Boulder's family wants to help.
That's not a bad idea, but maybe we'll use water balloons instead. I'm sure Rarity would be plenty motivated not to get her hair and clothes wet. We'll do some more of these jokes in a separate video, so look forward to it.
The magic, and it just got better in every way.
Hey, Sunset's voice change. If you check the credits, it's still Soachet doing the singing voice, but she also does Twilight's singing voice. I think the oddly deep and operatic voice here is supposed to distinguish between the two.
Either way, it is a nice song. The voice change happened in the last movie, too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
You know, you've changed a lot since we went out. You're so much nicer.
You know, I kind of like this pairing. They hit all the classic tells with the hair touch and whatnot.
And then at the important part, she is completely distracted.
Business before pleasure. That's why we love her, right?
And of course, everyone's favorite Derpy makes the best comforter.
You know, I saw a story once that framed this scene as Derpy being the unlucky childhood friend.
Aw, don't make it sad. That was such a sweet scene. Hey, there's one of those times where Sunset's power is useful.
Yep, here's a question though. Why not try to make the place look haunted? People love a haunted camp, but a resort might suffer from that.
Well, it might, but how long would it take for word to get around? They didn't really have much time.
True. Anyway, the whole thing sounds pretty typical of a teen movie save the camp plot.
Looks like red is Sunset's color.
Wait, why didn't Gloriosa take those 2 stones earlier? Why not either take all of them or start with one and work her way up?
Maybe she doesn't like purple and red?
That's as good an explanation as any. Alright, let's take a look at the boss battle now. So first up, this Celestia seems to be more proactive than her pony counterpart.
Well, I don't know if I would go that far, but it was nice to see the principal trying to protect all of her students.
I get that. There's a certain sense of responsibility that is, in theory, supposed to come with being a teacher. But back to the battle itself. You know, if they had trained better, they'd have been a lot more effective.
Ooh, Rarity has something like Steven's bubble. I guess that makes sense because she loves gems.
Nice. Anyway, it's much more like the classic beehive shield than Steven's bubble.
Camp Everfree is absolutely delightful, but I just don't know that I'm quite ready to give up my weekly trips to the spa. To the spa?
To the spa! That isn't your sister. It's someone who's been consumed by equestrian magic.
Apparently Gloriosa really hates spas.
Also, from what we've seen, it kind of is Gloriosa. This will come up more in a minute, but for now, what I half expected was for Flash, or maybe more like Timber, to pretend like they liked her idea and then go to shake her hand or hug her, and then make a grab for the gems when she got close. For narrative reasons, I guess the attempt couldn't have worked, but at least we wouldn't have had male damsels in distress.
Oh, there's something to be said for role reversal.
Yeah, but Timber trying something like that seemed to fit pretty well. Well, fanfic time, I guess. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Most problems can be solved with rocks.
It didn't exactly solve the problem, though.
Yeah, but it worked better than pretty much anything else they tried. Now, come to think of it, if they could have ponied up, Rainbow Dash could have just flown out of there.
But she wouldn't have wanted to leave her friends. Element of loyalty and all.
Okay, so fly out of the cage, then dive back down and smash stuff. The point is, there was a third dimension to consider. Of course, it became irrelevant almost immediately.
But what if she takes over? What if instead of saving everyone, I turn into Midnight Sparkle and only make things worse?
That won't happen. We won't let it. Hey, listen to me! You are in charge!
You are a light, darling! A force for good! Yeah! You can kick the darkness's butt! We're here for you, Twilight!
And we'll be here no matter what!
We believe in you!
You are not Midnight Sparkle!
No! I am Twilight Sparkle! And the magic I carry inside me is the magic of friendship!
Aw, that was sweet. Twilight has such good friends. If only this scene could have happened towards the beginning of the movie, but then we wouldn't have much of a movie.
I feel like Sunset could have used the "we won't let it" line about 20 minutes ago. it was a good solution anyway. This seems like a good time to mention that Twilight apparently remembers everything she did as Midnight, but a little later, Gloriosa seems to have forgotten what happened after she went full-on witch mode.
I find it strange that out of the 4 Equestria Girls movies, 3 of them have main villains who were corrupted with equestrian magic, but the other 2 did remember what they did. Maybe there's something different with the magic Gloriosa stole?
Maybe, but I'm not convinced that's it. Remember, Sunset was already corrupt. The magic may have amplified it, but she had already chosen her path by that point. We now have 2 clear examples of equestrian magic corrupting natural humans, but then 5 examples of it not doing so. At least some of it probably has to do with the magic belonging to them. Maybe because Twilight was legitimately linked to the magic she stole, she had more control. Another possibility is that Gloriosa was momentarily confused and would remember later, or was questioning how she had been knocked out of it. I don't know. Twilight's acknowledging that Midnight really was her seems a much more mature way to handle it than the possessed argument. An altered state of mind may have contributed, but Midnight was her. And getting someone else to watch you if you can't trust yourself is a pretty good strategy. What I really wanted to see, though, was some introspection of Twilight accepting Midnight as her sort of dramatic flaw. That is, it represents her thirst for knowledge. I realize this is a bit of an esoteric reference, but in the Third Doctor's era of Doctor Who, the thirst for knowledge was said to be the Doctor's flaw.
Bit of a long talk there.
And I'm not even done. Midnight just sort of vanishing as Twilight stopped being afraid was an acceptable way to handle it, but I think it was lacking. Twilight looking like Midnight when she changed, but being good, I think would have been a better representation. Because what happens to a person isn't what defines them, but what they do with it. Ultimately, as Dumbledore said in Harry Potter, it's all about choices.
Nice cross-fandom reference, especially since I love Harry Potter.
It is a good one. Another point is during the inner struggle, Midnight says,
I will always be a part of you!
Right, that. One response might be, that's the point. Midnight is part of Twilight. As such, Twilight doesn't have to control her because she is her. Another line to Midnight might be, you don't have to be alone. The Lego movies is the place I've seen this concept handled best, at least as far as I can recall. But the point is that Midnight arose because of Twilight's loneliness and isolation. In that state, her curiosity and intellect were all that let her maintain a sense of self-worth. But Twilight doesn't have to deal with it alone, and so Midnight doesn't need to be alone anymore either. I think that might have been an even better lesson here than what they went with.
Wow, that's deep. I love it.
I hope so. That's some of the best I've got.
And now it's a magical girl show! Cue the Sailor Moon music! Fighting evil by moonlight,
Yume no nakanara ieru.
never running from a real fight.
She is the one named Sailor Moon. Moving on, is it just me or does Sunset's outfit look like something from the Fire Nation?
Like the Fire Lord's clothes? You know, it kinda does.
If camp meant so much to you two, maybe it meant as much to the other campers who came here in years past.
And maybe we can get them to help save it.
Oh, like a fundraiser? Or a ball? Our band could play! I could help write a new song just for the occasion.
You know, I can't help but think that Gloriosa or Timber really should have come up with this plan rather than the weird magic vines thing.
Well, when all you have is a hammer.
You apparently turn the hammer into magic vines and hold people prisoner.
Apparently indeed. Next we have a sequence of how their powers help them prepare for the fundraiser. I really love this scene, especially because of the song.
The song isn't my favorite, but it's not bad. Anyway, super speed is a really awesome power. I've thought so since I first watched the old Saturday morning Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon.
And Twilight reads while making out invitations. She's really just showing off now.
And what's up with Timber and Gloriosa here? I'd never do that with my sister, although I might rest my chin on her head to tease her.
Yeah, but you didn't grow up in the middle of nowhere with no other permanent residents around.
Thank goodness.
I'm really glad I met you.
Uh-oh.
What?
That sounds like a goodbye. And here I was hoping we'd still be able to hang out.
Sorry. I need to borrow Timber. There are some donors I really want him to meet.
So this is the transitive property of saving, to use math terms.
And Gloriosa really knows how to spoil a good mood. I wonder if she has problems with her brother seeing someone, or if it was just bad timing.
It also did really sound like goodbye, but didn't they leave it kind of weird?
They did. I wonder if the upcoming specials will address this at all.
Or Flash and Sunset, which makes a lot more sense to me. Love at First Sight really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Agreed. I always find it better to be friends before jumping into a romantic relationship. Perhaps we'll see more of that here.
Now I know the diehard Sunset Twilight shippers will latch onto that teasing and blushing.
So we sort of see where the magic stones come from. When did the portal thing get cracked? I want to see more of this.
I'm pretty sure it was when Midnight Sparkle was opening portals everywhere. The real question is, why would a crack there affect something miles away like that?
What if the cave corresponds to the location of the Tree of Harmony in Equestria?
It's not a bad theory. Hopefully we'll see some follow-up on this. Honestly, I could see this being a whole series.
I'd really like to see that. Let's take a look at some of the things from the credits.
For rain clouds will clear the way for the sunny sky. Oh, shines eternal.
Aw, Timber is the Picasso of macaroni art.
Hey, that's right. I missed that the first time I saw this. Isn't the saying Hope Springs Eternal? I guess you couldn't copyright that.
Rainbow Dash singing about clearing clouds? That's a nice touch. And one last thing.
Let's celebrate!
That poor Doc.
Pinky really needs to learn to control that. I don't know how yet, but I'm certain there's a way to use rocks to solve that problem.
That would rock. Maybe Rainbow Rocks? Oh wait, that was another movie. And that's the end. I really like this one. It tied together the previous movies as well as opening the doors for follow-ups. It felt extremely solid and made me really excited to see more.
You did kind of feel Pony Twilight's absence, though. She wasn't even consulted via notebook as she was in the last movie. I really wanted to see the two Twilights interacting, much as that may have given the voice actress fits.
They really did do a lot with human Twilight, though. She's not used to having friends she can count on, and she's worried about hurting them. She didn't want to put them in danger, or at least didn't want to worry them, so she isolates herself and even almost friends away. I know what that's like, not wanting to worry your friends with your problems.
And I know what it's like trying to get friends to share their problems. It's like pulling teeth. Anyway, some of the powers are really interesting. Super speed and strength have, of course, been done to death, but the others are a bit rare. Pinky's kind of reminds me of Jubilee from the X-Men.
I agree that they were interesting. Sunsets has some real potential. Though I wonder if we'll ever see human Sunset join the mix similarly to how human Twilight did. I also wonder what would have happened if she had read Flash Sentry's mind by accident during their talk.
A lot of blushing? It seems to hone in on what they're thinking most strongly of at that moment, but in that situation, that doesn't really help.
Well, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for happening to find my door in the rift. You want to end with a song?
When in doubt, end with a song, I say. And I think there's only one song that'll do.
Of course. Roll the credits.
My little pony, my little pony. Ah, my little pony.
I used to wonder what friendship could be.
My little pony.
Until you all shared its magic with me.
Big adventure.
Tons of fun.
A beautiful heart.
Faithful and strong.
Sharing kindness, it's an easy feat.
And magic makes it all complete. Oh,
my little pony. Do you know you are my very best friends? My little pony.
I used to wonder what friendship could be.
My little pony.
Until you all shared its magic with me. When I was young, I was too busy to make any friends. Such silliness did not seem worth the effort it expends.
It's only something that some skies, surprise, little pony,
Friends.